بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره وقدره العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء عاملين أئمة 40 مجتهدين مخلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين. Last week was the continuance of the going over the proofs from Quran and Sunnah from Umdat Ulama and Ihya Usul Ikhmal Bid'ah. Tonight, the Tahdheeb Insaan min Khisaal Shaytaan class. We'll continue with chapter 2 on the subtypes of the heart. The subtypes of the heart are 3. Let me see something. And the subtypes of the heart are actually, like I say this just about every time I go over this chapter, that they're actually the 3 types of the nafs. They're associated with the 3 types of the nafs. Nafsul Amara, Nafsul Lawama, Nafsul Mutma'inna. But the category in which Shaykh Abdullahi dan Fuduye rahmatullahi has the subtypes of the heart organized in a different pattern than the nafs. The subtype of the heart are 3. The first type is advanced with fearful awareness of Allah and purified by spiritual discipline. That, you know, see in this text, he put Nafsul Mutma'inna to be the first subtype of the heart, and the second subtype of the heart is Nafsul Lawama. I mean Nafsul Amara, and the third type of the heart is Nafsul Lawama. The first type is the heart that is advanced with fearful awareness of Allah and purified by spiritual discipline from the poisonous character. This type of heart is the cradle of real government, which is enforced with the forces of illumination and guided to all spiritual good. This type of heart will not be harmed by the intrigues of Shaytaan, because he will be protected within an impregnable force. This type of heart, you know what I'm saying, associated with Nafsul Mutma'inna. Nafsul Mutma'inna, a person who has control of their nafs and have that level, they're not exempt from making error. You know what they're not exempt from making error. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who grants his mercy on helping his slave stay away from committing acts of disobedience. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. From committing acts of disobedience. All three levels is still dependent upon the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All three subtypes of the heart are still dependent on the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other part is the person to have to put in vigorous work to move up them subtypes of the heart to the highest one, which is the first subtype. Without Allah's help, you basically finish. There's no success. There's no tawfiq. It's and tawfiq only comes when you're working towards what you want and you putting in effort towards what you want, and it connects to it what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. When what you want connects with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, then Allah ta'ala make it manifest for you. And this is where tawfiq comes. This is the actual meaning of tawfiq. You know what I'm saying? Is when what you want connects and come together with what Allah wants. So the purpose is seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aid first. That's what one of my companions, he always used to mention or talk about Surah Al-Fatiha. And if you look at the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, it's extensive in all of the books of tafsir. Ibn Kathir, Tabrani, Tabrani, and basically all of them. Basically all of the tafsir. It's extensive, and Al-Fatiha is, in essence, it's a dua. It's a dua. You look at it, it's the first thing that makes the salah sound after takbir ihram, recitation of Al-Fatiha. It's the first thing that make the salah sound. It's in the Quran in the form of a dua as well, because the answer to Al-Fatiha is the first 7 ayats of Surah Al-Baqarah. And the next ayats after the 7 ayats, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the munafiq. In the 6th ayat and the 7th ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah talks about those who disbelieve and those who have a disease in their heart. You know what I'm saying? They will not hear you or see you. Sumun bukmun umyun. Deaf, dumb, and blind. So, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can you reach these levels. And every individual is responsible to know what level they're on. Like you hear people say, stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't know their lane, to begin with. They don't know their lane. So if you don't know your lane, how can you stay in your lane? It's like people don't know what their station is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're an individual that's constantly trying to focus on your condition, whether your condition is a good condition or your condition is a bad condition, who assesses their condition, their own condition, and they know where they need improvement at, and they don't make excuses for it, then this person is responsible enough to know where or what their condition is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your condition is not right with Allah ta'ala, you're not going to be right with yourself. You're not going to be right with anyone else. The second type of the heart that is made lethargic, by following the corrupt passions and completely open to Shaytaan. This is Nafsu Amara. Nafsu Amara is the self that is inclined to evil. This is the this is the self that it'll make, so the person who has this level, whose heart has this condition, they will make excuses for following their corrupt passions. If you actually look at, this text by Shaykh Abdullahi, and you look at all of the texts that's related to tasawwuf, the proof in tasawwuf, it's like the beginning of this text. It talks about the traits that Shaytaan or the black men who attack humanity with. If you look at this text, and you look at the text of Shaykh Uthman and Fuduye rahmatullahi alayhi, where Umdat al-Ulama and Ihya Sunnah Ikhmad al-Bid'ah, where it talks about tasawwuf, you actually look at and see that all of these blameworthy traits or blameworthy characteristics are related to people who suffer from these conditions are people who follow their nafs. They follow their hawa, and don't have any concern on changing them. Some people, they work on changing them, but sometimes they get weak. Mind you that we're all human. We make mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Tawbah a door of approaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if we didn't sin or we didn't make mistakes, we wouldn't have no need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. And Allah ta'ala loves to forgive. He loves to forgive. So the same as Allah ta'ala loves to forgive, He also loves the servant to try to always continuously trying to reach Him, trying to approach Him. They examining themselves, they working on themselves, they trying to remove these characteristics. Some of these characteristics are related to a person's disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just like mental illnesses. Some mental illnesses are closely related and brought on by the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some mental illnesses are brought on by weakness in the iman, in belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, belief in Allah, belief in the angels, belief in the books, belief in the messengers, belief in the qadar wa qadar, the good of it and the bad of it. That particular belief alone, belief in qadar, the decree, destiny, and qadar, predestination, and it's good and it's bad, is what brings about people that have a problem with that. They have anxiety. They go through depression. They go through related illnesses that are categorized as mental illnesses, which are really not. Depression and anxiety is not really a mental illness. It's a condition. It's a condition that's closely related, and it stems from us not having not having certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. You know what I'm saying? That's why if a person totally submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have no worries about where their livelihood come from. They know it come from Allah. They have no worries about where they're going to stay. They know Allah ta'ala going to provide that. They have no worries where their income is going to come from. Allah ta'ala going to provide that. They have no worries about what's going to happen next. And our minhaj is that we only deal with things that we only concern ourselves with things that we have to deal with at the moment. You know what I'm saying? The future, if it haven't happened yet, we don't concern ourselves with it. You know, we don't concern ourselves with it at all. This is that's one of the things that bring about anxiety. Worrying about something that haven't even happened yet, that may not even happen at all. You know, so to continue with the second subtype of the heart is that when notions operate in this type of heart, the notions of the corrupt passions also become operative. Then the intellect rises to defend the heart from the onslaughts, but it finds the heart has become fond of being in service of the corrupt passions and completely inclined to them. This type of heart is clearly a description of a person who has weak iman, whose iman is always low, not a person who their iman rises and falls. You know, so this is the person that has this type of heart, is that their iman is always low. Not meaning that they don't do any of their obligations. It means that they have, low iman, and they're more inclined, and they're more inclined towards those things that make them feel good, or them things that make them give them some type of strength, pleasure strength. You know, like a person who has conceit. You know, they only gonna surround themselves with people that's gonna feed their conceit. A person who has low self-esteem or subconscious, they're gonna only surround themselves with people who's gonna feed their esteem, to make them feel good about themselves. Even if they have a physical insecurity, the physical insecurity that it comes from a person who has anxiety or depression, but not happy with how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them. Allah ta'ala made all of us in the best of modes. When we're in the best of modes, when we're being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he debases us to the lowest of the low. The lowest of the low is like lower than the dog. So our insecurities, we may do things that make us feel good. Like, say we have a problem, we don't like the way we look, so we try to change the way we look for ourselves to make ourselves feel like we look better. But in reality, it's really for the attention of other people, because you're not really doing it for you. You're doing it for other people. Even though you may make yourself feel good, but to some people you may look good, and to some people you ugly. No matter what you do, you know what I'm saying. The person's character is what. If a person has an ugly character, ugly heart, that's what's gonna make them ugly, not the outer physical appearance. Thus, the intellect adorning the passions until the authority of true faith is weakened. The The corrupt passions then ignite the fire of rebellion until its smoke arises to the intellect, confusing it and causing it to disobey the heart, and eventually becomes consolated to the passions. This, you know what I'm saying, this person who has this type of heart, like I said, this subtype is closely related to nafsul amara. But this heart is explained as the Shihu Shaykh Abdullahi explaining that this person that has this type is not always in this state. The one who has nafsul amara is a little bit different. They enjoy being inclined to evil. You know what I'm saying? They enjoy being inclined to evil, though they might perform all of their ahkams in their daily life, but they incline to it. You know what I mean? This is the state that they're in until Allah Ta'ala changes that state. The heart then rushes into following after the corrupt passions until it becomes like the saying of Allah Ta'ala, it is the same whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. This is the 6th ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. This is the 6th ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. Whether you warn them or warn them not, they will not believe. This is talking about those who you constantly giving dawah to. You know what I'm saying, the people of the book. And the third type is the heart which is repeatedly wavering between thoughts of passion and thoughts of true faith. This is nafsul lamara, nafsul lawama. Nafsul lawama is the reproachable self. You know what I'm saying? This person is always critical, self-critical of they self. You know what I mean? They self-critical of they self and good, and they self-critical of they self if they fall short and do bad. They always examining they self. Not meaning that they're perfect, but they're in between. This person who has nafsul lawama and this third type of heart, this wavering, repeatedly wavering, they in between the second type and the first type. They're in between. They're not too much in the second type, but they're not too much in the first type. They're like the middle path. No, many of us have this type of heart. Many of us do. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I'm saying, we recognize that we fall short, and sometimes, you know what I'm saying, we fall into our thoughts of passions. Sometimes we, you know what I'm saying, true faith takes over. This type of heart is constantly plagued with the armies of the lower self and nafs being dispatched to assist the corrupt passions, al-hawa, while the intellect, al-aql, and its forces rises to give assistance to true faith, al-iman. Shaytaan, as a result, introduces the corrupt passions to carry out military offenses against the intellect, by strengthening the false claims of corrupt passions. The ruler also orders military offenses against Shaytaan by seeking the assistance of the intellect and true faith. The result is that the governance of the heart remains constantly shifting between the two military forces. Why does Shaykh Abdullahi use this metaphor of military forces and ruler and intellect. Why? Because he uses this metaphor so it can give us an idea of how us and ourselves, how we veer off, how we examine, you know what I'm saying, the impulses that we get towards doing towards our passions and towards righteous deeds. You know what I'm saying? And many of us at the whatever is going on at the time is what actually influences our decision on wavering this way or that way. When you actually look at it, it's really continual training and muraqabah that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? That you have to do to move from one type to the next type. To stay with this type of heart, you have to do you have to be the always think the middle course. You can't think white or black. You have to always stick with the gray area. The result. All right. Until between the two military forces until one that is foremost vanquishes the other. Allah Ta'ala says the one who Allah desires to guide him, he expands his heart to Islam. But the one who he desires to lead astray, he makes his breast constricted and obstinate. If Allah Ta'ala assists you, then there is none that can conquer you. If he desires to forsake you, who is there that can help after him? So let the believers rely solely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ayat is actually informing us that we have to seek help and assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like I said in the beginning of the class, before actually going in the text, you know what I'm saying, that we have to, well, it was when I started going in the text, we have to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. We have to seek his help in everything, especially when we're dealing with the affairs of the heart. We give our heart to, if we submit our heart to Allah Ta'ala and his messenger, our heart will never be broken. We'll never be disappointed. If we remove our love for things in the dunya, then we'll never be geared or shifted or persuaded by Shaytaan. You know what I'm saying? This is what is called ransoming the dunya. Once you ransom the dunya, then Shaytaan has no real power over you. He can't whisper to you. He can't persuade you. He can't do anything. But the reality is that all of our decisions are from our decisions. It's not whether we fall into, we listen to the whisper or not, it's still our decision. So in either way, if Shaytaan is free from being influenced, because he only whispers into our nafs. That's what a whisper goes, into our nafs and into the heart. It's our decision to answer his call. That's one of the things he's gonna say in his khutbah before everyone goes into the hellfire. That I called and you came. I had no real power over you. Allah promised, his promise is true. I promised and I lied. You know, so he's going to make himself free of any association that we may put on him, you know, for the choices that we make to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to obey Allah. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that we have to be mindful of, that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help us in our struggle. And we have to, just like in Usulu Tariqa, we have to surround ourselves by people that remind us to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Sheikh Uthman and Folio, he said that these are few people. We must seek out them few people. We must seek out them few people so that we can continuously be in a state where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could possibly love us. How did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that Allah ta'ala will love us? When we do our supererogatory, we do our farad ayn, and then we do our farad prayers, and then we do our sunnah prayers, and we do our nawafil prayers, our extra prayers. You know what I'm saying? Then this is how we gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love. So, inshallah ta'ala, Thursday, I'm gonna do the la'il and hizb bar, and then do the la'il, and then after that, inshallah, I'll do hizb bar, then do the la'il. Inshallah ta'ala, this Thursday is gonna be a little bit longer because I may be in North Carolina. Allah knows best. If I'm there, then I'll do the class there. And I'm still gonna do the YouTube video, inshallah. So inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to end the class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulil kareem. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.